Good evening, sir.
Good evening, aspirants.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. So today we will be discussing on principles of management. It's most important principles of management. We can expect, like yesterday, today also we can expect 13 questions from this. 13 questions out of 150, I am saying, including part 1 and part 2. Part 1 classroom management, teaching aptitude level, classroom management. And part 1 there is a separate unit called communication, right? And then what is that? Organization, teaching aptitude, organization or unit. Okay? So these things is covered in principles of management itself. Actually, it has two subjects. One is and for net commerce, it has principles of management and human resource management. Actually, unit title வந்து எப்படி இருக்கும்னா business management and HRM அப்படின்னு இருக்கும். Earlier it was two separate unit. In the revised syllabus, it has been integrated. But now we will be discussing only the management. HRM we have the other day as per the schedule, right? Because both are ocean. Business management as well as HRM is both are wider syllabus, right? But for management, net management, principles of management carries more weightage. It focuses purely on management, managerial aspects, right? So in the principles of management, we need to give more importance on the basics. We need to give more importance on the basics. Not even 5% of the total aspirants in the exam hall can attend the introductory questions in the principles of management. Because whenever we conduct mock test, we used to put up some questions from the introductory part from the management. Most of the students fails to click the right answer. Most of the students, they only exceptional cases they may click the right answer. Right? The reason is we always ignore the introductory part. So principles of management, the introductory part is most important. So what is that introductory part? Nature and scope. Nature and scope of management. Right? How the management can be treated. Is that art, science, or both? So likewise, we need to give much importance for the basics. So in the nature of management, so what are the things are available? If you see in the introductory mark, in any subject, any textbook you take principles of management, you can see the management is a multidisciplinary. It can be applicable anywhere, not only in business, not only in business. It can be applicable in family, it can be applicable for an individual, it can be applicable for service industry, it can be applicable for even samyas, right? So that's why it is called as multidisciplinary. Accountant can apply, scientist can apply, psychologist can apply, right? Illiterate also can apply. Literate can apply, illiterate can apply. So it has multidisciplinary function. The basic nature of management is multidisciplinary. The second basic nature is it's dynamic. It's dynamic nature. You can't say it's a static. So some part of the management can be static, but the entire management as an umbrella, it's a dynamic. Right? The third is universal process. So basic universal process, right? So which means the entire universe used to follow this process, either knowingly or unknowingly they used to follow. Right? We used to say no. What is that? Planning, organizing, staffing, directing. It used to come in five orders, functions of management level. So the entire process is a universally accepted process, universal process. That means uniform at any place. Either they may be following knowingly or unknowingly, but universal process. Fourth characteristics is the continuous process. So management, any managerial activity, it goes on continuous process. Fifth one, as I said, first one multidisciplinary. Here it is multidisciplinary methods. So we can't say one particular method will be success and the other one method may be failure. It's not so. So multidisciplinary method, according to one person, according to the perception it may change, according to the situation it may change, according to the organization it may change. So management is multidisciplinary method applicable. The sixth characteristic is the entire thing is group activity. The entire management is the group activity. Right? The seventh one is intangible force. There are some tangible premises, but the forces are intangible in nature. The eighth characteristic is the social management. Social management. Right? Social management. And the ninth one is coordinating force. The 10th one goal oriented. Then 11th one is the relative but not absolute principle. The last one is an integrative method. Is an integrative method. So nature of management, these things there are 12 natures. Please go through. Right? It is available in any textbook. Then what are the importance of management? What are the importance of management? Is my voice is audible? Someone calls it's not audible, Mr. Ran. Through YouTube link, I think. Is it?
Voice is audible.
Is this audible now? Clear now?
Center, sir.
Okay.
Slide change ஆகல
Slide
sir.
change பண்ணல நான் introductionல தான் இருக்கேன். Slide I did not change.
Okay.
So voice is clear now? Yeah, thank you. Then what are the importance of management? Okay, in the nature and importance there used to be assertion reason question, statement validation model question, right? Descriptive model question. So it used to be a direct question kandipa irukadu, right? So we need to know. I will show you some questions from the basics, right? Nature and importance of management. I will show some questions. Then how do we feel management is an art or science or both? How it is? So immediately we used to choose both, and or in general we used to choose both, right? But it is not so. For management, it can be treated as an art in if they have given some variables. If these variables are applicable at one point, then that time management can be treated as an art. Right? Then they have given 5 more variables for treating the management as a science. Right? So there are 7 variables are available to say management is both science as well as an art. So there are 5 variables they have given to express that the management as a profession. Management is science, art, both. That is different, but management as a profession. Then there are 4 variables available to say management as a universality process, universality favor. So likewise, they have given different situation. During that situation, we can say. So if questions used to be like this, they may give you some situation, then they will ask you. So in that, management is an art or science or both or professional, right, or universe. So for example, a trained ability, personal skill, practical knowledge, creativity, perfection through practice, goal oriented. So these things treat management as an art. If these things, any of these things related to one particular situation, then the management can be treated as an art. Whereas management can be treated as a science if a system of acquiring knowledge is practiced, or knowledge covering the general truth, universal truth, or experimentation and observation, Experimentation word vandale, it's a science. Then this is most important, cause and effect relationship. If anywhere, if you analyze cause and effect relationship, then the management can be treated as science. For example, performance management, there is one terminology, performance management. Once it was asked in net. So performance management, the entire process comes under art, science, both. Then professional. So some people chosen professional, some people choose, most of the people chosen the both, but the answer is science. Because performance management, the cause and effect plays a major role. Cause and effect relationship. Right? Performance management meaning enna we need to adhe mari responsibility accounting, and there also cause and effect relationship plays a role. So these things comes under management, and we need to treat that management as a science, right? Then Stella ma'am, voice is audible now?
Yes, sir, it's audible, sir, but
Thank you.
slide is not.
Yeah,
I'm
slide
not
I did
able to
not.
see,
It is an introduction slide
Okay.
only. I did not.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Actually, purposely I am switching off video. The reason is voice break agama varum. Some even my student only suggested. If you, I always switch on the video to show my facial expression. But now what happens? Some classes, one student only suggested, sir, when your network has some problem, நீங்க வீடியோ ஆன்ல இருந்துச்சுன்னா வாய்ஸ் பிரேக் ஆகும். அதனால ப்ளீஸ் whenever possible switch off the video. So that's why I purposely switching off the video, so the audio won't be any problem. Right? So management can be treated as science if cause and effect relationship is there. The fifth and major important variable for treating management as a science is test of validity and predictability. Test of validity and predictability. So these 5 variables, you can consider that management as a science. Right? So some situation used to be described to make you to analyze whether it is an art or science or both. So if it is both, how it used to be, right? So what happens? The manager used to have scientific knowledge and art of application, art of managing people, art of managing the things getting done. Right? Then we can treat management as science as well as art. Then maintains a dynamic equilibrium. Will maintain a dynamic equilibrium. Then management can be treated as science as well as an art. Motivates employees. So there are different types of motivation. We used to say as a classification, monetary motivation, non-monetary motivation. If you get into a monetary motivation, it comes under science. Management can be treated as science. If you take the non-monetary or qualitative motivations, then we can treat the management as an art. Right? So motivates employees, that comes under management as both science and art. Encouraging teamwork. It also says that management is both science and art. Right? Management can be treated as a catalyst. So this time also we can say management as in science and art. So when you can say management as a profession. So nowadays even social work comes under management. Right? Even MSW, who are studying MSW, they give much importance for management. Right? When management can be treated as a profession. So someone sent me a message, and a startup has been started with related to agri products. So what they say, that the idea is conceptualized by a group of management professionals. Right? So what it means, when do you treat management as a professional then? So if you have a specialized knowledge, then you can treat management as a professional. Right? HR manager, specialized knowledge, right? Brand manager. There is a vice president HR, brand manager, marketing manager. There is a separate wing called brand management. Their brand manager is a post. So specialized knowledge, if someone has and applies, then you can treat management as a profession. Any formal education and training, if someone goes into any formal education and training, then we can treat management as a profession. If anyone does the managerial roles as a social responsibility, then management can be called as a profession. So if anyone practices professional autonomy, like they used to have a code. As if you take chartered accountant, they used to have a code. Whenever they put sign, they will use their code. Right? Adhe mari, what is that? Lawyers, they used to have their code. So that is called as professional autonomy. Then management can be called as profession if they follow some code of conduct. Code of conduct. For example, doctors used to have dress inside. Right? They used to follow some code of conduct. Right? So those things. So during this situation, management can be treated as a profession. Then what are the levels of management? There are 3 levels: top level, middle level, and lower level. Lower level also management plays. Then what are the managerial skills? So there are 8 skills in general. It used to be conceptual skill, technical skill, HR skill, focusing skill, delegating skill, problem solving skill. In general, please go through those things, right? And then what are the functional areas of management? You can take all MBA syllabus: financial management, personnel management, procurement management, operation management, marketing management. These are functional areas of management. Then what are the management theories? Management theories. So we have scientific management theories. Hawthorne experiment is popular theory. Hawthorne experiment. Those things, it came just during the evolution of management. Hawthorne experiment is an important experiment. It used to be a question in net exam. Hawthorne experiment. Even settle Hawthorne experiment, but it is old. It is old, but still mostly they used to ask Hawthorne experiment. So actually on an electrician, on electronic store level, this experiment has been done. Right, that's what Hawthorne experiment. That's a name. Hawthorne is a name. So what they used to do, they used to have 4 types of experiment under Hawthorne: illumination, relay assembly, then interweaving, then bank writing test room experiment. There are 4 types of experiments are there, and another Hawthorne experiment. These things comes under introduction only, introduction of management. And then what are the approaches of management? Modern management theory, what are the approaches? So some say it's quantitative approach, system approach. System approach is a professional approach. We used to call it as input, process, output. There used to be an objective. Accordingly, input used to be given, then process, output, then feedback. This is called a system approach. Then contingency approach. So as and when it is needed, they will apply. Contingency approach. Interpersonal behavior approach. Socio-technical system approach, decision theory approach, managerial roles approach. So those things and then there is a name, managerial roles approach, Mintzberg theory. Motivation your name motivation theory is Mintzberg, M-I-N-T-Z, Mintzberg theory. He gives 10 roles for management. Actually, there are now, it has been developed into 12 roles, but settler men's managerial roles is dash. I didn't get the answer was 10, but even as per the modern management theory, it is 12. There was a confusing answer, but I'm going to put the answer. The settler release answer was 12. Sorry, 10. But the actual answer is now it is there are 12 roles are there: interpersonal role, figurehead role, leader role, liaison role. So for each and everything, he has given an illustration in textbook. Right? So spokesperson role, disseminator role, recipient role, handler, resource allocator, negotiator, entrepreneurial. So and management carries entrepreneurial role. Who said this? Right? So Mintzberg. So because Mintzberg 10, he said 10 roles, but now it is developed as 12. So in that 12 role, entrepreneurial role is the 9th one. Then liaison, who is manager is called as liaison between management and the staff, between the organization and the stakeholders. So he is called as he performs a liaison role. Who said this? Mintzberg. So Mintzberg is an important name. Even motivation theories, leadership theories, right? Mintzberg. Then scientific management. What is scientific management? It is given by Henry Fayol, not Henry Fayol. Who is that? F.W. Taylor. F.W. Taylor. Henry Fayol, not Henry Fayol. F.W. Taylor is the scientific management. Who is the father of management? Father of accountancy, Luca Pacioli. Father of computer, Charles Babbage. Father of entrepreneur, Scumpeter. Who is the father of management? We need to know. Set example in the questions கேட்டிருக்காங்க. Father of management. Please explore that. A simple question that, right? Because if I say now, you may forget. If I leave with the question, you need to explore. Right? Scientific management is given by F.W. Taylor. So what he says, he came out with 4 techniques for implementing the scientific management. For implementing the scientific management, he came out with 4 techniques. So what he says, time study, motion study, and functional foremanship study, then standardization. These 4 techniques helps us to implement the scientific management program in any organization. So time study, motion study, even it comes in HR, time and motion study. The entire scientific management focuses on labor and techniques. So for example, earlier, if you take a tailor shop, one person will be doing all the jobs, right? So what happens? But scientific management, what he says, he has to stitch only button. The entire 8 hours work, he has to stitch only button. The other person, he has to do only ironing. The other person only, he has to see only the quality check. Likewise, if you get into Tirupur factory, ஒருத்தர் ஒரு வேலையை 8 hours பண்ணிருப்பார், even 12 hours பண்ணிருப்பாங்க. That's why they used to get affected. Scientific management big flaw is that they can't balance their emotional abilities, labor. So scientific management is highly possible for lower and middle level workers to increase the productivity, but it is not possible at the top level. So what scientific management also says, standardize, specialize, standardization, specialization, right? You can control cost, pay fair wage. So earlier there used to be, and we can't say unfair wage, but there used to be diluting and the diluting system for the wages, for payment of wages. But after scientific management, the wages has been standardized, right? Bonus, even a bonus based on the effective output they used to be given. So Halsey plan, Rowan plan, you must be knowing what is that payment of that became popular in after scientific management implementation, right? So I gave much importance for specialization. Specialization is induced by Henry Fayol, but in scientific management, he brought specialization as a main category by the F.W. Taylor, right? So specialization is propounded in labor management. Specialization propounded by Henry Fayol, but it is as a part of scientific management under the F.W. Taylor. Right? Mostly this question used to be confusing when specialization the word listener, and always students used to select F.W. Taylor, right? But it goes to Henry Fayol. And then what are the pros and cons of scientific management? That is most important. Assertion reason model, right? Pros, why? Limitation. There is a limitation. What are the limitation? Why it is? That's most important. If you cover that, you can answer assertion reason model questions, statement validation questions. Right? And then principles of management. Henry Fayol, he's stated 14 principles. 14 principles. Right? 14 principles you need to be in your key in your hand. Right? So like accounting, we have gone through. No, what is that? Do you remember? For entire principles of accounting, I have given you here. What is that? Bradford. Yeah, I gave you M cube, C cube. I gave you a framework. So likewise, for 14 principles of management, you need to have. There are 14 principles. Starts from division of work, authority, discipline. It is in flow. It is in order. We need to have keep it in order. This is 5 keep it in order in general. So we need to entire 14. We need to be in order, right? So the centralization, 8th one is the central. You know so all the 14 principles as a management and commerce students, you must have studied from even +1. And nowadays even it is there in entire +1 groups, right? So here in the last principle is one by one. If I no need to explain one by one, you know, division of work, authority, discipline, unity of command, unity of direction. You can match entire functions of management in the 14 principles. Right? So for what are the functions? Planning, organizing, right, directing, staffing. There are 8 functions are there. No? All the 8 functions can be matched with the 14 principles. That's how you need to explore. Right? So these things comes under introduction. So in introduction, please go through nature and scope, importance of management. Why I am stressing on the introduction part, because mostly we used to ignore this. Management as an art, science, or profession, or universe, right? Both art and science, functions of management in general, levels of management, managerial skills, right? So those things are most important. Right? Milsberg, Hawthorne experiment. Next. So can you see what is that? Yeah. Bose score. This is an important key term to understand the functions of management. Right? So there are, normally we used to say there are 5 functions. In general, all the books used to say 5 functions. We always need to know that what is the maximum. Right? All the 5 functions covered, here also it has been covered, but we need to know what is the maximum. Right? So what is that? P refers to planning, O refers to organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating, controlling, reporting, and budgeting. That's called post-corp. Right? First one, planning. By post-corp, you can see the flow. Planning, organizing, staffing, directing, coordinating. Even controlling comes under directing. Controlling, actually, controlling comes, it is a balance between directing and coordination. Right? That's why here it is not explicitly said, but controlling comes here. And then coordinating, reporting, and budgeting. Once it has been asked, in post-corp, the she refers to what? So people got confused like anything. Right? So they said supervising, coordinating, controlling, and the other C is related to here management only. Something they said, you got confused. Answer is coordinating. Right? Reporting and budgeting. Please get to know there are 8 letters, but only 7 expansions. Here CO refers to coordination. CO, right? CO refers to coordination, or even it includes the direction and coordination. In between there is a control. Right? First one, planning. So planning carries much importance. Right? So what does the term plan refers? What are the factors involved in planning? Right? So planning always talks about what is that? There are planning is a lengthy one. Yeah? So what happens? Planning. The next slide, I think. Yeah, the 10 things. So actually the 10th one is the last function, budgeting. So budgeting also comes under planning, but as per the post-corp framework, B, budgeting goes to the last one. But however, I am covering under planning itself, right? So under planning, the first and foremost step is SWOT analysis. Everyone knows SWOT, right? Strength, weakness, and opportunities and threats. So strength and weakness related to internal component, opportunities and threats related to external component. So if you analyze, then you need to enter into planning. Steps. The first step is the SWOT. So next we need to know what are the types of planning. SWOT exercise has to be done as the initial stage of planning process. Then what are the features of plan? So plan can be at organizational level, divisional level, organizational plan, divisional plan, departmental plan, sectional plan, right? It is based on the hierarchy it used to be framed, right? Organizational plan, divisional plan, departmental plan, and sectional plan. So coordination plays, which of the following function is integral part of planning function? So here, when out of the 8, out of the 7 functions, we need to say coordination is the integral part of planning, right? So which is there as an explicitly is there as a separate function, but it is an integral part of planning, right? So what are the steps in planning? What are the process of planning? Right? Please that we need to know. First, we need to have SWOT analysis. Then we need to perceive the opportunities. Then establishing objectives. Then we need to define which are the planning premises, right? Identification of alternatives, evaluation of alternatives, choice of alternatives, then formulation of supporting plans, and the last one is establishing sequence of activities. So likewise, the planning process goes. So it used to be keep it in order. Then now, what is next after this? Right? Earlier it was asked many times, but settler likewise this question used to be. Right? Then we need to know what are the planning premises. So before the types of planning. So what are the types? So there are 10 types of plans. On the basis of coverage, we can say corporate plan and functional plan. So corporate plan is called as holistic approach or integrative plan. It is also called as strategic plan, right? Or long-term planning. So corporate planning, first type is based on the coverage of activities. So if you are covering holistically, then it is called corporate planning. Then functional planning. Functional planning is called as segmental planning. So each and every segment it used to have. Then on the basis of direction of that organization. So accordingly, we can have two types. One is strategic plan, and the other one is operational plan. Strategic plan, we can call it as long-term direction of organization. Strategic plan. So it used to be 3 to 5 years. Once it was a question, strategic plan used to be dash period. Usually, strategic plan used to be set exam and the question given. Right? And then operational plan, it is known as tactical plan or short-term plans. Right? The operational plan is called as short-term or tactical plans. So it used to be formulated at middle and lower level management. Then planning can be classified on the basis of time period. Short-term period, long-term period. So short-term period, as I said, operational planning comes under short-term period, right? So long-term, external, long-term period, you can say strategic plan, right? Maximum 20 years. So 3 to 5 years is common, but mostly it used to be for 20 years focus, right? Then on the basis of approach, adapted. So accordingly, you can have proactive plan and reactive plan. And then on the basis of degree of formalization. So accordingly, you can have a formal plan, informal plan, right? And then there is another type called standing plan. Standing plan is called vision, philosophy, those things called as standing plan. The other one is single-use plan. Single-use plan is called as, which we have seen earlier, operational, right? Or tactical, short-term plan. All those things are single-use plans. Right? So standing plan can be referred as vision, objectives, strategies, policies, procedures, right? Rules and regulations, right? Code of conduct. So those things comes under standing plan. Single-use or operational plans can be rules, programs and objects, programs and projects, right? And then budgets, quotas, target, those things comes under operational or single-use plan. So it can be unbalanced match the following model. So I have even orientation, I said, what are the types of questions? Unbalanced match the following, it can be, right? So the major plan, usually we used to call it as project and budgets. But for the minor plan, we used to call it as quotas and target. Right? So please use that terminology frequently. But unknowingly, we use in general, right? Project, budget, in general, we use for even for the short term. But for the major plan, we used to say major project and budget. For the minor plan, we need to say quotas and target. Then what do you call as planning premises? Yeah, what is the next one? Is the planning premises? Yes, premises and its types. right? So premises we normally we used to say is is an asset, right? But what happens here, we used to divide, we used to classify into two. Now, what is internal premises and external premises? In external premises are normally we used to say premises are the assets we used to put up as a tangible item, but here planning level of premises is an intangible area, right? All the premises it talks about environmental forces. So external premises, all the external environment, political environment, social, technological, competitor environment, government policies, etc. Internal premises, you can say organizational policies, resources of various types, the ability of the organization to withstand with the competitor, to stand with the environment pressures, etc. Those things are internal premises. Then we also have 10 types of premises. As I said, external premises used to be analyzed by using opportunities and threats. Internal premises used to be analyzed by having strengths and weaknesses. There is a third type, is called tangible premises. So always look into the quantitative terms. So what is the sales target? How much it has been increased? What is the new addition? What is the metrics? They used to have key performance, right? Area KPA, key performance areas, and they used to have a board, all quantitative figures. So those are called as tangible premises. Intangible premises talks about only the qualitative things, right? Then controllable premises. So controllable premises all purely on internal things. It's internal things like organizational policy structure. Then uncontrollable things related to external things. Right. So we use for defining the premises, we use our framework, business environmental analysis for area where we use PESTEL framework, ETOP framework, SAP framework, right? Those things we use here also to define the premises here. So ETOP, environmental threat opportunity profile. Then PESTEL, political, economy, social, technological. PESTEL, if you have expansion in the business environment, you can see. Then SAP framework, strategic advantages profile. Right? Those things it helps to frame the premises for planning. Right? So there is premises and its types. Next one is forecasting. Forecasting is an important area. There is a difference between planning and forecasting. Right? Forecasting as a key to planning process. That we agree, but there are differences, right? So what is the difference between forecasting and planning? What are the importance of forecasting? Without forecasting, planning doesn't work. But planning, what happens? Forecasting can happen without planning also. But you can't compare. That is different. But you can. It is possible, right? Consumer to customer the difference you know in marketing. Same way you can see the difference between forecasting and planning, right? So then limitations, right? Steps in forecasting, techniques of forecasting. Techniques of forecasting, it is needed, it is an important thing. The first technique is historical analogy. First technique is historical analogy based on the history. They used to apply then survey, opinion poll, business barometers, they used to call it as index numbers. Yeah, consumer index number, the different index number they used to call it as accordingly they'll plan budgeting is ரொம்ப useful. Then time series analysis, then extrapolation. This is also an important technique for under forecasting. Regression analysis, input output analysis, econometric models. These things are forecasting techniques which comes under planning, right? Then there is also a term called scenario, right? So which means effective device for sensing, interpreting, organizing, and bringing to bringing the diversified information about the future. It is called scenarios. Forecasting, there is an important term, scenarios, right? So please. And then what are the barriers for effective planning? Those things are important. Yeah, next is mission, philosophy, and vision. What is the difference? Mission, which one comes first, right? So formulating the vision, then it gives what is the deciding criteria to frame philosophy and vision. organizational philosophy, and then vision. Then again, you check with the mission. It used to be right. So which one comes first, which comes later, that has to be reviewed. Explicit mission statement. What are objectives? Hierarchy of objectives. So those things is an important area in the planning, right? And then here MBO. Yeah, this is an important topic where repeated questions have been asked in NET as well as in SET. Management by objectives. Management by objectives, or the other way you can term it as management by results. Management by results. The word is coined by Peter F. Drucker. Once it was asked, MBO is coined by Peter F. Drucker. Even twice it has been asked. Even match the following word. Once it has been a direct question. Set la vandu romba vaati this question is repeated. MBO. 1954 it has been this concept has been evolved. Right? So what do you mean by objectives? It is based on the result. Frame the objective. Vision, philosophy, vision, then bringing down the strategies, then objective, then focusing on the objective, you plan your activities. That's why it comes under planning, right? So what is that? Based on the objective, it is highly result oriented. Scientific management, it has been applied, MBO, right? It has been taken over. Scientific management, they evolved a little later, but it has been taken over, right? If MBO can be seen, it can be seen as an object approach and philosophy to management. Right? It is purely on objective orientation, right? It tries to match the objectives as well as the resources. That's where it plays a major role. Objectives and resources. How you employ your resources to reach the objective. So periodic review used to be done. Either is the every activity is whatever we does is that meeting the objective or not. So even performance appraisal from the organization perspective, not staff perspective, from the organization perspective, we used to call it as performance management. MBO plays a major role. Here they also use KPA, key performance area, and in MBO they used to call it as KRA, key result area. Right, KPA, KRA, key result area. Right. Yeah. Then, so what has been left? Yes, moves. Good. So what is that major part is it moves downward, the lowest manager level. Then what are the advantages of MBO? How it works out? And that's most important. Then strategy. Strategic plan. So how they used to have strategic plan. Actually, it has been started in the military science. Strategy has entered in the management from the military science. Right? Strategic management, there is a separate chapter. Right? And the strategy or the basic things in the questions. Right? So levels of strategy. There are 3 levels. It has been asked once. 3 levels of strategy: corporate level, and then business level strategy, and then functional level strategy. Right? Corporate level strategy is the highest level of strategic decision making. The business level strategy is the divisional level. We used to call it as SBU, strategic business units, right? So unit wise. It doesn't mean that unit wise means center separate unit room. It used to be defined accordingly. For example, responsibility accounting, there are different centers: profit center, right? What is that? Investment center, revenue center. There are 3 centers. It doesn't mean that there is a separate office, separate building is there for center. Likewise, there also SBU doesn't mean that there is a strategic business unit, separate unit functions like that. It has been defined like this. Right? So all the 3 levels are interlinked. Then policies used to be drafted from the strategy. Then from the policy, procedure used to come out. From the procedure, methods used to be defined. Then from the methods, rules used to be framed out. It is in order. Keep it in order, definitely we'll get confused. right? Then from the rules, the project used to be done. From the project, budget used to come. It is in order. Yeah, so I repeat once again. So strategy, policy, and then procedure, then methods, rules, project, and budget. So likewise, it used to flow. It used to have a flow, right? So then, here, what is that strategy? Decision making, tools of decision making, and budgeting. Good. So decision making plays important here. What is that? In planning the decision making. So there are three types of decisions we used to come across based on the human behavior. So one is cognitive decision. Cognitive decision based on the knowledge, mind associations. We used to call it as cognitive decision. The second type is cognizant. Cognizant means based on the willingness and desire of the manager, of the person. It's called cognizant. Then the third one is affection, based on the emotions and feelings. So decision making used to happen by balancing all the three. It's based on human behavior, right? So what are the features of decision making? Types of decision making: programmed decision making, non-programmed decision making, strategic decision making, tactical decision making, right? Those things we need to know. And then what are the techniques we use to follow for decision making in a group? So tools for decision making. Brainstorming is an important technique. Brainstorming. It is given by Osborne. 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 Brainstorming technique is given by Osborne for under this area for decision making. Brainstorming. Right? It takes actually 10 to 15 people has to be there. FGD they apply பண்ணுவாங்க. Right? Some issues used to be solved, some unsolved. There is infinite areas, irrational situations. They used to apply brainstorming technique. And then nominal group technique. There is a nominal group technique for making a resolution, for passing for having a update. What is the framed out, legalized decision making, or the nominal group technique they used to follow. Then there is a technique called the Delphi technique. Yeah. Delphi technique is the Greek name, ancient Greek name. Pray for name. What is that? They used to say members do not have face-to-face interaction for group decision. Right? That is called a Delphi technique. The decision used to be arrived at through written consensus, mapping communication in the form of filling up questionnaire, often through mail. Right? It's normally time-consuming process. Someone will not reply. Very few may reply. Even if they reply, they may not understand question. There are several things are there. So Delphi technique, right? So even it can be asked COVID-19 period, right? Which technique will be possible to have what is that? Gathered decision making. Then we can say Delphi technique, right? So what happens without face-to-face interaction? We can circulate even all the online questionnaire. Right. Even nowadays, government asks to get opinion from the college and school stakeholders, parents, students. Are they willing to come to school or college? Right. Then they frame their questionnaire and circulate it to them. They ask them fill. So it is a Delphi technique. Again, it has its own cons also. It has its own drawbacks. Right. Then strawman map. And this is also a tool for decision making, right? It tries to pull the ideas generated by several task subgroups to arrive at a decision. That's called straw man map. Just remember the straw man map, right? It has different phases to get into the decision, right? Subgroup task is what happens in the internships. What is not internship? What retreat? The organization used to have and retreat used to have usually annual retreat. Retreat means it's not celebration alone. So people think that retreat means it's a prayer and celebration. It's not so. What happens? They used to divide the entire staff and stakeholders into different multitask group and give some vision mission reframe பண்றதுக்கு ஒரு exercise கொடுக்கலாம் இல்லனா vision mission relook பண்றதுக்கு ஒரு exercise கொடுக்கலாம். Some exercise they will get into, finally they will come out with some decision. So those things are called as strawman map, right? And there are some quantitative and qualitative techniques available for decision making. For example, intuition, facts and figures, experience, considered opinion. There are many opinions, but then some opinion used to be considered and affectionated. So those are called as qualitative or non-quantitative tools for decision making. Then qualitative, we can say operational research, decision tree analysis, linear programming, game theory, queuing theory, all whatever we see is in the operational research and statistics. We can say is a quantitative for tools for decision making. Right. And this till now we have seen this. Then budgeting, yeah, budgeting is we have seen in what is that in accounting we have seen there are different types of budget, but from the management perspective, the budgets finance la நம்ம பார்த்தோம் in the master budget, functional budget, cash budget, capital expenditure budget, long term, short term budget, flexible, variable budget, அதெல்லாமே பார்த்தோம், fixed budget, variable budget. But here there are some terminologies you need to know. Program budgeting. Program budgeting is also called as performance budgeting. Then zero-based budgeting. Then strategic budgeting. So these things something related to management. So program or performance budget is called as input-output analysis budget. Right? Cost and results used to be analyzed. Right? It used to be compared, matched with the operations. Right? It measures the total cost of the program or the activities. Right. Then they will match with the cost and the activities with the expected outcomes. Right. So simply we can say evaluating past performance and planning for future activities is the focus of performance budgeting or program budgeting. It emphasizes non-financial measures of performance. Please make a note. All budgets emphasize on financial performance, but here it emphasizes on the non-financial performance. Non-financial measures of performance, right? Focuses on non-financial. It doesn't mean that financial measures it much importance given on non-financial measures of performance. Then zero-based budget, you always know what is that? It always starts from the scratch. So normally whatever, when we prepare budget, what happens, we used to take last year data and what is the current year inflation, how much can we inflate the last year budget. Then we will inflate, then we will introduce some items if it is necessary. Likewise, we used to prepare budget. Right? And in the zero-based budget, what happens to control the cost and to reduce cost control and cost reduction is the focus of zero-based budget. So it is both, it happens both for business budgeting and even for non-business budgeting. Right? Irrespective of the fact, whatever happened earlier, forget that, start from the first. Right, have the base of revision, verifiable indicators with the objective, then decide the budget. Zero-based budget, start from the scratch. Then strategic budgeting is a tool of resource allocation to various strategic business units, SBU, right? And then other units of an organization. It's called strategic budgeting, right? So these things comes under planning. These things comes under planning. It's most important. Yeah. Next one is organizing. So in organizing, what are the things we need to look into? Right? In organizing, what are the things we need to look into? Someone is posting. Yeah. Yes. Organizing principles of management, there are principles of organizing. So organization, there is what do we call, these things we need to cover. So one is organization structure. Organization structure, different types of organization structure, factors influencing organizing, span of management and control, and different types of management and control. Then departmentation, types of organization, team building and teamwork, committees, types of committee, power and authority. These things comes under organizing, right? So organizing involves it is a wider area. So even communication also falls in organizational structure, right? So organization, yeah, it's okay. Yes. What is that? Yes. One is organization structure, and yeah. So there are different types organizational structure. So we can say what is the narrow. Yeah. So it's most important. Who has given this? Again, Minspec come gets into the picture. Henry Minspec. Yeah. Please note down the name. So organizational structure, classification he has given. He has given 7 classifications of organizational structure. Line structure, line and staff organization, functional organization, divisional organization, project organization, matrix organization, team-based organization, free form, free flow organization, right? So line organization, it is also known as scalar or military organization, vertical organization, simple vertical organization, right? Line and staff organization. So line organization, there are breakdown divided into 2. One is pure line organization, right? The other one is departmental organization, departmental. Then line and staff organization. Where does it work? Pure line organization for the small organization, it works. For departmental organization structure, it works for the small, larger organization where it has different department. But under each department, they used to follow line structure. Then line and staff organization, it used to be like, for example, HR manager. It comes under line and staff organization structure. But line organization structure level, you can say supervisor and labor. But here line and staff organization structure, there used to be the other fellow used to support that, right? So personnel manager, HR manager. So those comes under staff structure and line. So it used to be interlinked. And functional organizational structure, it is created for by grouping the activities on the basis of functions which it carries, right? And then divisional organization, it is based on product you can divide, it is based on territory you can divide, or based on strategic business units you can divide. So normally divisional organizational structure is the costly one, but still it has an effective if the organization needs this. Then project organization structure based on the project it carries out. Then matrix organization, it's the interlinking. Like UNO organization, I used to follow matrix organization. NGOs used to follow matrix organization, where you have 2 or more bosses, right? 2 or more programs, 2 or more monitoring framework. Then you can have matrix organization structure. Right. For the team-based organization structure, where it works, right? When you have a functional skill-based workers or technical skill-based workers, then you can have team-based organization or BPO, KPO, the what is that IT industry follow team-based organization. Team leader, then some workers used to be there, then some workers used to be there, they used to carry out the work, particular project. So team-based organization. For particular problem, if anything arises, then they will formulate a team and accordingly they will work. Problem solving skill and decision making skill. Right. So doing these types of, so team based organization need 3 types of skills, right? The decision making, interpersonal skill, problem solving skill, right? Some technical skill. So accordingly they used to divide. And then departmentation, right? And then team working, team building, committee, power and authority. Power and authority is most important. Then what is committee? Ad hoc committee, ad hoc committee. Suddenly they will follow, they will form and formulate, pass some resolution and code. Ad hoc committee, according to the need, they will frame. Right? What is the need of the committee, framing committee, problems in committee, So committee ni போட்டாலே decision எடுக்க தெரியலன்னு அர்த்தம். அப்படின்னு we used to say comment, right? So when do we say committee is an effective one? So what are the criteria we can follow to say committee as an effective one? Then team, types of team, group, types of group, right? Cross-functional team, self-managing team, problem-solving team, virtual team. Next, power and authority. The last one is power and authority. What is the difference between these two? So authority and responsibility always goes together, right? Hands and hands. I mean, a quote. We always say. Right? So what is the power and authority? What is the difference between these? So authority, you can say it's a legitimate rights of a position holder, legitimate rights, right? With designation it used to be followed. But power, it is not so. It is the capacity of the person to hold that power. Even you can see in colleges, coordinator, but someone will carry out the coordinator role, right? Because he has the capacity to do so. And even HODs level, they will not respond, but to that particular person they will respond. So that's called power. So power is based on the capacity, but the authority is based on the legitimate rights, the position held by the person, right? So types of power, you can say positional power, personal power. Positional power is called formal power. Personal power is the informal power. Right? The authority, you can say formal authority, acceptance authority, competence authority. So when it happens, formal authority is based on the top-down approach, managerial position based on it. They used to delegate. So that's called formal authority. Acceptance authority is the role behavior authority. Right? Acceptance authority. Competence authority based on the qualities a person carries. Competence authority. Then what is the responsibility and accountability? How it works? So delegation of authority is there, but accountability cannot be delegated. Right. So accountability, power, authority, accountability, responsibility. Right. There is an important word called scalar chain, span of control, unity of command. Right. So those things we need to get into. Centralization and decentralization, how it differs, right? Between centralization and decentralization. It is not about the organization alone. It is the centralized authority, decentralized authority. Right? So centralization, decentralization carries more weightage in questions, in net exam questions. Right? So what is organizational manual? Organizational chart to manual, what is the difference? Right. Those things important area from organization perspective. Then if you take staffing, it is from the HR, right? HR, everything comes here. From the HR, everything comes here. So what are the things from the recruitment? Yeah? Appraisal, right? Till end of the appraisal it used to come. Organization, I forgot what is that? Span of management, span of control is the most important. Another answer. What is that? It is based on the superior subordinate relationship. It is based on superior subordinate relationship. So how do you determine the span of control? Right? Superior subordinate relationship, how do you determine? Quantitative formula, how do you determine? So when you fill a profile in any organization, our profile form, they will ask you, what is your experience in teamwork, team management? How many subordinates you handled in your earlier career? Likewise, they will ask. The reason is to identify the span of control. Identify the span of control, right? The span of control, it has 4 types: direct single relationship, direct group relationship, cross relationship and total relationship. So there is a formula for this to calculate that. Direct single relationship, you can see how many people subordinate you are. So 5 subordinates, you can say 5 as it is, that's all. You can call it as N, 5 subordinates. Direct group relationship, 5 subordinates only, but from 5 of them I used to have different relationship, right? Group relationship, we used to call it as group relationship. So to determine this, there is a formula, right? We used to have now what is that? Permutation combination exercise, like we used to have an exercise. So for this, they have defined 2 n within bracket 2n minus 1. So which means if there are 5 employees, if you have 5 subordinates, then n is the 5 within bracket 2 into n minus 1, right? That means 2 into n, 2 into 5, 10, 10 minus 1, 9, 9 into 5, 45. That means 5 subordinates, you can measure that direct group relationship as 45 direct group relationship with those 5 subordinates. The other way, what is cross relationship? Cross relationship can be calculated. N within bracket n minus 1, which means n is 5. You assume that there are 5 subordinates. 5 into 5 minus 1. 5 minus 1 is 4. So 5 into 4, 20. So there are 20 cross relationship. Right? So that's how the span of control used to be determined. Then how will you calculate the total relationship? Total relationship. So direct single relationship, direct group relationship, cross relationship, and total relationship. So total relationship need to be calculated. There is a separate formula for that. So normal total relationship now there used to be an answer. For example, direct relationship I said 5. Direct group relationship I said 45. I calculated by using a formula. Shall I repeat? N within bracket 2n minus 1. Close the bracket, right? That's called a direct group relationship. Cross relationship n then multiply with n minus 1. N multiply with n minus 1. That's called cross relationship. Total relationship n have a whole bracket n minus 1 plus 2. N minus 1 plus 2. So that's how you used to calculate. If you have 5 subordinates, you can say total relationship is 30. Total relationship 33, 0. So normal example on the they used to give direct single relationship, direct group relationship, cross relationship. They will ask you to calculate total relationship. Normally we used to think that எல்லாத்தையும் add பண்ண total relationship வந்துரும். Then a maximum of this can be a total relationship. But there is a theory, span of control there. But normally we never study this theory when we study in UG and PG. There is a small calculations here, so you can carry out, right? And then staffing will deal in HR. HR it used to be repeated, right? Then directing. The next one is directing. So directing also deals with controlling, right? Directing also deals with controlling as well as what is that? Coordination. Directing deals with directing. Controlling comes both in directing and coordinating. Am I correct now? Yes. So techniques of directing. So features, techniques, coordinating, controlling. Controlling. Directing, what are the things we need to do? Principles of management, principles of organization, principles of direction. So that we need to focus in the directing. Principles of directing. Which are the common principles of management? 14 principles are there, entry foil. Principles of organization, there are 12 principles. Principles of directing, there are 10 principles. You need to take which are the common. Question right? So which are the common, and which is unity of command is the common thing for all. And you need to pull out that thing, right? Something odd one out. Direct supervision, it comes in span of control also, right? Then techniques of direction. So techniques, there are 7 techniques. Here the communication comes. 7th one is the communication, right? So first one is consultative direction. Free rein direction, automatic direction, autocratic direction, delegation, supervision, and the last one is communication. These are the techniques of direction. Here the major part is leadership theories. different types of leadership. These are the definite questions used to be leadership theories, right? It comes under directing. Directing, coordinating, and controlling. More the leadership and motivation theories also comes. And then communication. Communication, the most important thing is communication process. We have 8 elements. There is one teaching aptitude, there is a question about the communication aptitude. Teaching aptitude, communication, classroom communication. There are 8 elements are there in the process, communication process. So how it starts, encoding, decoding, right? Error starts from sender, receiver, 2 component, and then in between encoding, decoding, then message, error, feedback. If you count, it used to be 8, right? Please remember that, right? Communication process. So, did I miss anything? Communication, there are different communication network, circle network, chain network, wheel network, free flow network. What are the barriers of communication? Barriers of communication, definitely there used to be part 1 level questions. Barriers of communication. There are 8 barriers. That is important. The semantic barrier and the attitudinal barrier. Right? Linguistic barrier. Linguistic barrier, everyone knows. Semantic barrier, attitudinal barrier, psychological barrier, or situation, which type of barrier it is called. Socio-psychological barrier. Right? This used to be. Then controlling, what are the process of controlling? So there are 6 stages of controlling, 6 stages. Then what are the controlling technique? This is most important, controlling technique. Modern techniques and the non-budgetary control technique. There are 2 classifications, modern control and the other one is non-budgetary control technique. So modern technique, you can say MIS, PERT, CPM, management audit, management by objectives, responsibility accounting, SWOT analysis. These things are modern technique. Non-budgetary control technique is a general thing: ratio analysis, financial statement audit, break-even analysis, special reports and analysis, statistical data, personal observations. Those things are non-control, non-budgetary control techniques. So controlling techniques used to be a question. And then coordination, motivation comes an important theory here. So leadership, motivation, repeated questions. At least you can expect 3 questions from leadership and motivation alone. Right? And coordination, there are principles of coordination. There are 5 principles are there in coordination. Right? What is the difference between controlling and coordination? Right? Directing, controlling, and coordination. So here, management by exception comes here. It gets into your picture. Directing, leading, supervision, controlling, and its types. These things. Then management by exception. So management by objective, where it has come, and management by exception, where it is coming. Please make a note, right? Then controlling techniques. Then reporting. The last one is budgeting. So these things covers in management functions. Now let us get into leadership theories. Right? Leadership theories. This I have an important note on leadership theory. They might author match the following like right? Match the following repeated questions. So there are many theories. It's not only 14, there are given many. We will see one by one as much as possible. We will cover now, right? So whichever is not there, also I will see. Tribe theory. So what is the tribe theory? It is given by Bernard. Tribe theory is based on the characteristics. Tribe theory is given by Bernard. Here the basic assumption is leaders are born, not made. Leaders can acquire skills, but the leadership characteristics should be from the birth. It is a God gifted. That is called a tribe theory. Right? He may gain experience and he can build up, but the basic leadership should come from the birth. That's what the tribe theory says. Right? Second one, situational theory. Situational theory. Situational or contingency theory. It is given by R.M. Stockdale. Right. Normally, it is first applied in German. German, the military operation, they have applied this situational theory. So they have two factors to apply this. So according to the situation, the theory plays a role. That's why situational theory, or it is also called as contingency. Right. So they have two factors. One is leader behavior factor. The other one is situational factor. Leader behavior factor, you can say the characteristics and the hierarchical position of the leader. Situation factor, you can say subordinate characteristics. Group factor, leader situation, organizational factor like culture, climate, etc. So if these things has to be matched to play a situational theory of leadership. The next one is great man theory. Great man theory. Right? It is always called as charismatic theory. Charismatic theory. It is given by Pluto's, right? Pluto's Republic. There is a name. So it is a Greek word which means gift, God gift, right? An extraordinary ability of a person to perform miracles. So Mahatma Gandhi is a charismatic leader. Why it is called? Right? An extraordinary ability of a person to perform miracles. Right? Charismatic theory is also called as great man theory. So this also says leader is born, not made. Right? So most of the inspirational leadership comes from charismatic theory. Right? So next one is followers theory. Followers theory, FM stands for this. This is the best example is Vinoba Bhave. Vinoba Bhave is the Bhumidana Yakathik Tandai, father of, right? He got most of the, he is the person who, what is the demonetized the Jamindar system. He got most of the land for the national independence, we used to say. So he follows theory. He comes under followers theory. Right? Then half-life cycle theory. They used to say one particular phenomena made my life entire change. Right? So I became a leader now. Right? Half-life cycle theory. Life cycle theory continued. Right? Then again there is a theory, it's given by Paul Hersey. This is also same like what happens always, there used to be a decline at one point. Political theory comes under, political leadership theory comes here. Right? Life cycle theory. So what happens earlier days, mostly the Brahmins carries more weightage through Congress. Then later it has become a entirely opposite Dravidian. Then now again it goes to, so it used to be a change, right? Now we used to call it as a combination of both, right? There used to be a cycle. So likewise, please go through each and every theory. You will see one by one little something with chart. Behavioral theory and tribe theory. What is the difference? Right. So behavioral theory says leadership can be taught. So without even if one person, nothing is there, through the training, through the experience, he can become as a leader. That's called behavior theory says. Tribe theory says no, leadership, the ability, the skill has to come from the birth, right? It's not made. There is also a called a transactional and transformational theory. The last 2 points is there in the type size. 14 types. The last two on James Byrne and Adams theory. Transactional and transformational theory. So transactional theory, leaders who guide or motivate their followers in the direction of established goals by clarifying the role and task requirements. So here transactional leaders can be called as contingent reward, management by exception, so active, management by exception, again, so passive, then laissez-faire. So 4 types under transactional leadership itself, right? So there is a matrix. If you have the matrix, you can understand better, right? Laissez-free, fully democratic basis. They will take decision. Transformational leaders who provides 4 I's, like individualized consideration, inspirational motivation, idealized influence, and intellectual stimulation. Transformational. Even charismatic leadership types also comes under this transformational leadership. These 2 are broad categories. And these 4 I's, please remember, 4 I's match the following level. 4 I's one side or one side. Transformational leaders and then I need to match. Right? And then see full range of leadership model, how it works out, right? Please have this matrix, the graphs it at the x-axis, y-axis photo. Most of the leadership theory have this matrix. The graph x-axis, y-axis photo. From there you understand, then you no need to memorize each and every characteristics of each type and even the name, right? So how it works from ineffective to effective, how it works from passive to active, right? So transactional is the base and transformational comes next, right? So ineffective and highly ineffective and too passive, then it is called as laissez-faire, right? So it is moderate to ineffective and moderate to passive, then you can call it as management by exception. So likewise, you can match each and every word, right? Highly active and highly effective, then idealized influencer, right? So likewise, you need to carry it. You can even keep it in order. Keep it in order. Question also it can be answered, right? This is next one is Black and Mountain. Mountain is an important theory. Managerial grid. There is a repeated question you also asked from this, right? Matrix. 9 into 9 matrix, right? So one is it is based on 2 dimensions. One is based on production, the other one is based on people. So high focus on production as well as high concern for people. If that is the case, then he can be called as what? Right? So we used to call 9 into 9. What is that? There is a name, 9 by 9 matrix, right? Outlining 81 different leadership styles. So if one leader is highly concerned for production as well as highly concerned for people, then they used to be denoted as 9. What is the name for that? Right? Highly concerned for people but least concerned for production, then it can be called as 1-9 matrix. He can be called as different. I will show you that different. 9 is called as what do you call? Team-based leader, right? If someone is high concern for people and low concern for production, then he can be called as country club. 1-9, I said no 1-9, high concern for people but low concern for production, then he can be called as country club. So low concern for people, low concern for production also, then he can be called as 1-1. It is called impoverished. High concern for production but low concern for people, then he is called as task-based leader. He is always moderate both for production as well as for people. Then he is called as middle road leader, 5-5. Please get to know these things. This is an important area. Next one is Hansey-Blanchard situational leadership theory. This theory is, if you follow this matrix, you can understand. There is a row matrix. There are 4 stages in this row, right? The first one is, what is that? You just have an x-axis alone, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Have a line. You can say like this. If it is with row 1, if one follows in the row 1, it is called as readiness. Low follower or readiness. Row 2 he can be called as low to moderate followers. And then row 3, moderate to high follower. Row 4, high follower. So always everything talk about readiness. Right? Readiness, ready to follow. Right? Situational leadership theory, SLT. Please remember the code. The next one is, what is that? Leadership styles. Has a plan chart. Same thing. They have come out with matrix. Right. So please, I have given this matrix only for the slide, but please follow the graph shape, x-axis and y-axis. If you follow that, unwilling comes down. Unwilling and willing comes down. So accordingly, you can place the name of the leader there. Right. So this is a continuation of this. Right. So based on the follower and readiness. Based on the one side, the x-axis you can say as a follower, right? The y-axis can be said as readiness. So unwilling and unable, then he can be called as directive. Unwilling but able, then he can be called as participative or supportive. Willing but able, he can be called as monitoring leadership style, right? Unable but willing, then he can be called as high task and relationship oriented style. So likewise, you can remember. There is also called a theory called trust leadership or intellectual leadership, right? Trust leadership. You can also have this matrix. There are 4 types of leaders which integrity also plays a role. Please remember these things and let me go ahead. Online leadership. Now it is most important. Online leadership. So where the Delphi method came now and communication, that also plays. So leadership at a distance, building trust. So it also comes under there, trust leadership. Right? Whenever the father principal sent a message, immediately we used to be so cautious. Right? So online leadership. Right? He plays a supportive role, even in distance. Yeah. Some people used to write a letter to their staff, right? Anna, he used to follow. In politics is the first one who followed a writing letter to their. He used to say Anbu Thambi. This is called what is that? It has the building trust leadership, right? It is not that online mode. It is building trust leadership level. Trust leadership with 3 types of trust: deterrence-based trust, knowledge-based trust, identification-based trust. Right. Sometime what happens, I used to use the Lavella logo whenever I go for outside presentation, right, in the first slide. Right. So because they believe that the presentation is going to be a worthy one, qualitative one, right? So it builds a trust to the viewer in the first slide itself. So likewise, there are 3 types of trust and online leadership. Please go to. And then there is an intellectual leadership. There is a matrix, but I have not put up here intellectual leadership, but it is there in the 14 leadership, intellectual leadership. It is also called as institutional leadership or pastoral leadership. Here they used to say it as 4 S, S1, S2, S3, S4. Right? You can always have a graph, x-axis and y-axis. X-axis is based on the relationship, y-axis is based on task. Right? High task and high relationship, then what do you call it as? Low task, low relationship, what do you call it as? High task but low relationship, what do you call it as? High relationship but low task, what can you call it as? So there are 4 types of leaders emerges here. So one is telling leadership, selling leadership, participating leadership, and delegating leadership. Now, and I said 4 types: telling, selling, participating, and delegating. So now just have the graph. One, the x-axis, 2 dimensions, x-axis is the relationship, y-axis is the task, right? So if it is high in relationship and high in task, then it can be called as participative leaders, participative style, right? Low relationship and low task is called as selling type, right? High in task, but low in relationship, it is called telling leadership, telling leadership. High in relationship but low in task, it is called delegating leadership. So there are four: S1, S2, S3, S4. S1 is telling, S2 is selling, S3 is participating, S4 is delegating. So you can use the slide as it is. Yeah, I don't. Where it is intellectual leadership. Once it has been asked, telling, selling, even we confused. What is this telling, selling? Where it comes in leadership theory, right? Intellectual leadership. So have this kind of matrix, right? Y x-axis relationship, y-axis task. Right? Likewise, you can put. The next one is Likkert's management system. Likkert's management system that also defines the relations leadership theory. So here they say four types of system, management system, right? So exploitative, benevolent, consultative, participative. So these things are available in the material also, the study material also. Next, motivation theory. Motivation theories. So motivation theory plays an important role now. So there are how many theories you know? How many theories? So we know mostly that what is that? Maslow's hierarchy theory. Maslow's hierarchy theory. Right. At the maximum, even to my extent, when I was studying, I know only Maslow's hierarchy. We never get into the other area. When I study MBA, I came to know some other theory. But when I study NET only, I came to know all the types, all the theories. There are 8 theories are there. Even there are more, but 8 theories are most important, right? The first one, Maslow's theory. Yeah, we know Maslow's theory. What is that? It is need-based theory. Need-based theory. What do we call it as? Need-based theory. Yeah, can you see? So you can see content-based theories and process-based theories. Please have this classification. They have never asked this question based on this classification. It can be expected. Which are the things are content-based theories and which are process-based theories. Right? Yeah. Now, Maslow's hierarchy theory. This is based on 5. This is called as need-based theories. Right? So there are 5 needs. Psychological needs. It starts from psychological needs. And second stage is the safety needs. Third stage is belongingness and love needs. Fourth stage is esteem needs. The fifth stage is self-actualization needs. So for each and everything I have given here two or three terms. It's most important. It used to be in order. It used to be in order. So which are the basic needs? Which are related to psychological needs? Which are related to self-fulfilling needs? So it can be in match the order, match the following questions, right? Choose the best option questions, right? Statement validation questions, right? Prestige and feeling of accomplishment comes in dash need of Maslow's hierarchy theory. We will be able to choose esteem needs, right? Then esteem needs, what is the other name? Self-esteem, self-esteem needs, right? Status needs, status need is also called as esteem needs. Please go through, it's an important theory. The next theory is, what is that? Two-factor theory of motivation. Do you remember the name? Herzberg theory, Herzberg motivation theory, Herzberg. Do you know the full name? Please get to know the full name also. Herzberg motivation theory. Yeah. It talks about one way the motivators, the other way, what is that? Hygiene factors. Motivators factor and the hygiene factors. Right. The hygiene factors is related to company policy, supervision, relationship, work conditions, right? Remuneration, salary, security, etc. The motivator factor It's related to achievement, recognition, and the responsibility, the work itself, advancement. Once it has been asked, the work itself is the option level. One of the question level, option level, work itself. Right? Advancement, growth, so those things are motivators. So hygiene theory is the existence, motivators, and the hygiene factors is the existence, motivators is the perception or the expected things. Right? This is called as two-factor theory. Next, based on need theories, this is also a high need theory like Maslow's. What is that need theory? Yeah, McClelland's need theory. McClelland's need theory. Please have the name along with the name. Have the McClelland's need theory. And I match the following. One side name, one side when the theories. We need to know how to match that, right? So there are three types of needs. He says need for achievement, need for affiliation, and need for power. So the need for achievement of the NAC nu solluvaanga. MBA la padichirukkom. It's an important theory. NAC. N capital letter hyphen A capital letter CHE. NAC. Need for achievement, need for power, need for affiliation. Right? And then in power, we have seen types of power earlier in the right power and authority. There we have seen authority, delegation, responsibility, types of power, like personal power, institutional power. Right. Next. So this is an ERG model theory. Existence, relatedness, and growth. ERG model theory. So this is also can be matched with the what is that first theory, Maslow's hierarchy theory, Maslow's need hierarchy theory, or can match. The same thing I have put up here in Maslow's hierarchy, but how it can be matched? Existence, relatedness, and growth. ERG model. So one side ERG theory, one side name. So we need to match. So please get to know the full name also. Right? Then expectancy theory. Expectancy theory plays a major role. What is that? Expectancy theory. V rooms expectancy theory. The full name. Right? V rooms expectancy theory. There is an equation. Expectancy, instrumentality, and balance. Yeah, they remember stimulus response theory. We had one equation in the marketing. Right? Same thing here also they follow. Expectancy, instrumentality, and balance is called as motivation. There is also a mathematical equation. I have not put up here, but it is available in that material. Please go through that, right? So expectancy through efforts, instrumentality is through performance of the person. So balance through the rewards, right? So how it works is an accumulator. So if the progressive, the geometric progression of the three things. So even they ask geometrical progression of the three elements of the theory is expressed in dash. It's a geometrical progression. The equation comes like this. So ERG theory, right? Then Adams equity theory. We have not come across this, no? Adams equity theory. So effort on work should match with the reward for work, right? So all the inputs should match with the output. In between process used to be this Adams equity theory. Then goal theory. So goal theory is based on three factors: mastery goal, learner's behavior, and performance goal. Actually, two goals: mastery goal and performance goal. The learner's behavior comes in between. That's why it comes in process. If you see the process oriented, it has the flow. You can see what is that. I said no, there are two categories: content theories and process theory. Process theory, you can see how it works out. Right? Goal theory. Next is reinforcement theory. Reinforcement theory. Goal theory, it's a performance goal. Once it has been, it's one of the options in the question. Performance, but not the right answer. But they have given performance goal. One of the motivation theory, they have given as one of the options. Right? And option vandale, please get to know what it is. Right? So it comes in goal theory. Right? Reinforcement theory. So reinforcement theory is given by, do you remember the name? There are four types of reinforcement: positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, right? Punishment, extinction. So we need to know manager behavior. So manager demotes the employee, then it is called a punishment. Management stops nagging the employee, then negative reinforcement. When manager praises the employee, positive reinforcement. Manager ignores the behavior itself, then extinction. So it can be in reinforcement. There is a Pareto master. Choose the best option வரலாம் இல்ல இதை வச்சு master following வரலாம். Right, please. So have the online test practices. Right. Then Porter's and Lawler's motivation theory. Porter's. It is also called as expectation theory of motivation. Expectation theory of motivation. Right. So instinctive rewards, extrinsic reward, perceived equitable rewards, satisfaction, performance. Performance expectation theory of motivation. This is called as performance expectation theory of motivation. This is most important. Theory X, theory Y, theory Z. Right? The name who has propounded theory X and Y is propounded by Douglas McGregor. Once they asked who propounded theory X, later the next exam they asked who propounded theory Y. Both are the same answer. Right? They will match the following get on one side theory X, then Douglas McGregor name used to be there on the other side. Right? Theory X and Y and mostly questions has been asked in NET exam, even in set. Theory X is both are two dimensions. Both are in two dimensions. Theory X says they avoid works without supervisor control, they will not work. Right? So they seek security, avoid responsibility, carrying responsibility must be controlled by someone. So without supervisor, the work cannot be carried out. Theory Y is the modern. Nowadays, you don't need to have supervisor. Supervisor work supervisor he excels in his work. So work is always natural, self-direction. Passionate people only comes for that particular work. Like that, there are few assumptions also there under theory Y. Right? So this is widely dispersed theory nowadays. Right? That's why they used to ask when you go for interview, what is your interesting area? So accordingly, they will give they will learn the work. Right? Next, theory Y, theory Z, theory Z is given by Auchi. What is the full name? Auchi's theory Y. Sorry, theory Z is given by Auchi. What is that? Is have the full name. I have quoted the full name in the first slide itself. Theory Y. So what it says, you need to compare all the three. So it helps you to attend the statement validation model. Right. So theory Z is always talks about the productivity, right? And self-appraisal, self-evaluation, cooperation, trust, right? Internal decision making. So informal control mechanism. So those things theory Z perceives. Right? So with this, they can excel in their job. So ella theory the purpose is the employee has to work with good amount of productivity. The purpose is that, but the assumptions and characteristics of each theory changes. Right? Okay. So some of the important terms in management. Delphi method, we have already seen Delphi. Diffusion, so any innovative idea, if it gets into, in marketing, we have seen this, diffusion of innovation. What is that? If any new product gets into a market, how it enters, how it gets out. So likewise, in management, if any idea or any strategy or any decision, if it gets into, how it works out. Right? First to 2.5%, only the innovator will take care, will immediately get into, will actively participate. Right? Second, they used to call it as early adopters, then late adopters, late majority. The last one is laggards. Right? As soon as they said COVID pandemic, everybody has to take classes online. Through online mode, all colleges, they said the age-old people so suffocated nowadays. They are the laggards now. They said it is not possible. They were so against. Whenever we have the FDP program, whenever I handle the FDP program, teach them how to handle the Google Meet, Zoom, and different tools for handling the classes, different techniques to engage the students, right, by using the different apps. We used to discuss. So during that time, they used to always They used to say against, they used to say drawbacks of the online classes, etc., etc. But it's called a diffusion of innovations, right? So diffusion always works out here. Then 80-20 principle. This is an old principle, but still it carries more weightage nowadays. 80-20 principle, right? 90-10 principle. Now it is 90-10 principle, 10-90 principle. Please get to know what it is. 80-20 principle, right? Right. Is there any doubt as of now? Yeah. Let me take you to some of the model questions which I have drafted for you. Right. Some model questions. Right. So this PowerPoint which I am going to present you will help you how to study the principles of management. And not only even other subject also, but it gives much importance for principles of management. Can you see a slide now? Yeah, now it's loading. Yeah, it will take a few minutes. Yeah. Principles of management, how to study, right? So what you need to go through the study material, which we have circulated, unit 1. So filter the answers, frame questions in different way. After some point of time, answer the questions as a revision. So this is how we need to go through, right? For example, now let me show you some of the questions from the first unit. Some of the questions, for example, what is that? Nature and scope of management, and what is the scientific management, and what is that? Basics. Art management as an art, science, profession, right? So let me pose some questions, right? So just check, are you able to answer? These are net quality questions. Assertion reason model. Question model 1, assertion and reason. The assertion says the management thoughts and principles can be applied in all fields of business and life. The reason says the basic characteristics of management is multidisciplinary and dynamic nature. So in the introduction class, I was talking about 15 to 20 minutes about introduction alone. I think about 15 minutes I planned. And in there I was explaining this characteristics of management, nature of management. Right? So as a multidisciplinary, as a dynamic nature, yeah, I said no. So because of this, how the concept works out here. The management thoughts and principles can be applied in all fields of business and life. Yes. If you see this question as in a blind, you may have some confusion. But if you study the material by keeping in mind the question model, then you can approach this question positively. Right? So are you able to follow my statements? Yeah. And next,
Yes,
question
sir.
number 2. Which one of the following is the nature of management? It seems all the 4 are nature of management. Am I correct? All the 4 are nature of management. Right? But when we study the basic, the introductory part, you will come to know. Right? The answer here is goal-oriented. The answer here is goal-oriented. In the nature of management, nowhere they talk about profit-oriented or vision-oriented or objective-oriented. They are only goal-oriented. Right? Next, management is DAS. Is and DAS. Is the directive method or professional method, logical method or integrative method? It seems to be generic question. It seems to be correct only. Right? Even if you eliminate some answer, yeah, you may eliminate logical method, all right. You will keep 2 in your mind, professional and integrative method. Then you will get confused. Other introduction and basic part, please concentrate more. So here management is an integrative method. The answer is integrative method. Right. Question number 4. Which forces would be the nature of the management? Which forces would be the nature of the management? Yeah, is that planning force, controlling force, coordinating force, direct? All the answers are similar. It seems to be correct answer, no? Which would be the nature of the management?
Planning.
Yeah, planning, controlling. Yeah, the answer is coordinating force. The answer is coordinating force. Because the nature of management, there is a separate nature called coordinating force. Right? There is no nature called planning, controlling, directing. It may be different terms, but coordinating force is explicit. They have stated in nature of management. It used to be there in all the textbook. Next, yeah, there are two statements. So statement one says the effective management system ends business failure. The statement two says the effective management system essential for social well-being. So which of the answer is correct? So it seems that, right? So that's why some questions, I said first itself, I said it used to be a challenging one when they ask question from the basics, introductory part, right? I have seen most of the mock test and even in NET exam, basic questions, professors, the so-called experienced or the new professors could not answer the right in a positive way. Right? So because these statements is there in the importance of management. These statements are there. Both the statements are correct. Next, question number 6. Management is an art of performing things. Assertion. This is the assertion. Now, reason is management has personal skill, training ability, and practical knowledge. Now you need to say, you need to analyze these two and say, is that right or wrong? So straight away, what do the aspirants, NET aspirants used to do? Management is an art of performing things. No, management is both science and art. So assertion is wrong. அப்படிங்கிற conclusion வருவாங்க. So assertion is wrong எங்க இருக்குன்னு பார்ப்பாங்க. Then they will keep that point as possible answer அப்படின்னு நினைப்பாங்க. But it is not so. Assertion can be anything. But reason is that right explanation or not. Here management as an art through personal skills, training ability, and practical knowledge. Right? All the three are the attributes of saying management as an art. It's true. As introductory, I said, management as an art. What are the attributes are there? So there are 5 attributes I said. 6 attributes I said. Out of 6, 3 are here. So both the assertion and reason are correct. The reason has the correct explanation to the assertion. Right. Good. Next, question number 7. Management as both science and art is due to dash. So you say management is both science and art, and it's due to dash. So it is called a descriptive model. Descriptive model, the question option they have given, after that they are clubbing options. Descriptive model. Yeah, descriptive model na எழுதுறதுன்னு அர்த்தம் இல்ல. We need to know the lengthy answer, then only we can answer. Right? Management as both science and art, that is due to what? Right? So science and art, what are the attributes are there? We need to check. So then if we know all the attributes, then we can answer this question. So management as both science and art. So there are 7 attributes are there, right? Out of these 7 attributes, encourage teamwork is available. And then system of acquiring knowledge is not there. System of acquiring knowledge is not there. Creativity comes in art. Right? Then training ability also comes in art. System of acquiring knowledge comes in science. So both science and art, it comes only for A1. Encourages teamwork. That's the only answer. The answer is 4. 4th option is the answer now. But if you see blindly this question, it seems to be everything is correct. So that's why I'm saying you need to study introduction. Then we know the basic thing. Let us try to because each and every question carries important, right? So assertion here. Management is a science of application in practice. Reason. Management is an experimentation and it has cause and effect relationship for each activity. So in this case, for this reason, assertion is correct. So reason has the right explanation to the assertion. So the answer is option 1. Right? Are you able to follow my statements? Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Because this exercise makes you to concentrate on the nook and corner of the questions. Who thought the management is against universality? So there is a theory, but we have not discussed it. Management arguments against universality, for universality, right? So here the name is Harbinson and Mayer. Harbinson and Mayer is the right answer. The question number 10. Which thought is against the universality? This is also we have not discussed. Management as a universality, I have stopped. I did not discuss the each and every part. It is there in the study material. Please check. So here management against the universality. Right. Yes, check. So answer is practical evidence. Practical evidence is favoring the universality. Theoretical evidence is also favoring. Theoretical evidence, same fundamentals and cultural bounds. Yeah, culture bound is the against the universality. Answer is culture bound. Good. Question number 11. Which of the following thought assured that the management is a professional work? It's a professional work. And the answer is code of conduct. Code of conduct. In a professional law, I said there are 5 attributes. Out of 5 attributes, the code of conduct is 1. Which one is not a function of management? Which one is not a function of management? Still, it seems to be confusing. The question is too simple. But when we get into the options, yeah, what is that?
Financing.
Yeah, financing. Financing, good. Good. Because leading comes in directing. Budgeting comes. And I remember in the boards expansion budgeting they used to select budgeting. So financing either budgeting confusion leading confusion and organizing 5 management functions and the confusion. But how do you need to focus this leading related to directing? Budgeting is there in the out of 7 functions of market management. So answer is financing. Correct. Right. A manager can be a dash and cannot be asked dash. Cannot be asked dash. A manager can be a dash or cannot be asked a dash. So here the answer is a manager can be a liaison officer and cannot be as a trader. Yeah, option 2 is the right answer. Option 2 is the right answer. An effective manager should have dash skills. Skills, managerial skills. So there are 8 managerial skills. 10 managerial roles. Now it has been upgraded into 12. Which is not a functional areas of management. This is a negativity question, right? So not no other question. Personnel management, distribution management, procurement management, operational management. Right? So functional areas of management, first itself I said financial management. Whatever the subject we studied in management, financial management, personnel management, purchasing management, operation management, marketing management, distribution management. Which has not come? Everything has come. Yeah, is it right? Distribution management also is there. Logistics and distribution management. So answer is none of the above. Right. And I said procurement management is also called purchasing management is also called as procurement management. Right. Operation management, everything exists. So none of the above is the answer. So what do you understand from this exercise? Which means we need to